Hello and good morning to my lecturer, Dr. Tan Fu Yin. My name is Shafiza Binti Azmi. Today I will present about the oil palm crop that I choose. So we go to the next slide. For the next slide is introduction of oil palm. The oil palm tree are known as Elias guineensis and originate in West Africa where it start growth and become major crop in the agricultural crop. It was introduced in Malaysia by the British in early 1817 as an ornamental plant. The first commercial planting took place in Tanamaran Estate, Selangor in 1917s. The cultivation of the oil palm increased at a fast pace in early 1916s under the government agricultural diversification program. Later in the 1916s, the government introduced land settlement schemes for planting oil palm to eradicate poverty for the landless farmers and smallholders. The oil palm plantation in Malaysia became large due to the estate management system and a smallholder scheme. So we go to the next slide. Facts and science about the growth requirement of oil palm. For the first is climate requirements. Climate effect and oil palm performance is very important to carry out precise measurement of the main climatic components such as rainfall, air temperature, solar radiation, relative humidity, evaporation, and wind at the site of interest. Climate, especially rainfall, can be considered as the primary factor which limit the potential yield of oil palm. Climate is often the overriding factor in deciding on the suitability of investing in a new area for oil palm cultivation. For example, rainfall has been recognized to be closely associated with various psychological and developmental processes of oil palm such as flowering and bunch production. Next, closure of the stomata during hours of maximum evapotranspiration, a slowing of leaf opening and a reduction in spear leaf extension rate, conversion in the trunk of starch and perhaps other polysaccharide to sugar to maintain respiration and bunch development. In severe water stress, the older leaf will desiccate prematurely to decrease evapotranspiration and the developing bunches and inflorescence will abort the reduce the carbohydrate sinks. So as we can see at left of the text, we can see the evapotranspiration process. Next is soil requirement. For soil requirement, oil palm is not very demanding in its requirement of the chemical and physical properties of the soil, but it grows on a wide range of tropical soils, many of which are not suitable for the production of other crops. Oil palm is also very sensitive to insufficiencies in water provision which are frequent on sand-dominated soils. Next, by using the chemical soils in cultivation, it will cause the nutrient deficiencies, and by using the physical soil in cultivation of oil palm, will cause the low water holding capacity in nature. Optimal conditions are provided by finely structured soil with high day content to fairly good yield can also be achieved on loam and seed dominant soil. So we must choose the very right soil to plant the oil palm such as at the picture. So next is nutrient uptake. For the nutrient uptake, the macronutrient like copper, zinc and ferrum uptakes imitate the pattern of macronutrient uptake and do not have significant difference was detected at low compost rate. The oil palm seedling growth and physiology improved with the application of compost. This was majorly attributed to the alteration of physiochemical properties of the growing medium. The root and shoot growth and macronutrient uptake were highly significantly related to the pH of the growing media with compost percent of plant height. When the growing medium improves from acidic to slightly acid, it will respond to the ornamental plant, especially oil palm tree. Next, the effect of pH on the nutrient availability as macronutrients were heavily affected by the pH value and subsequently the nutrient uptake of oil palm seedling. The soil react with aluminium and ferrum oxide forming insoluble aluminum or ferrum phosphate through ligand bridging and ionic repulsion rendering unavailable at low pH. Lower bulk density and elevate pH to compost addition were ideal to promote root growth and increase nutrient uptake and biomass. Um, for next, the oil palm will grow with get the adequate nutrient uptake. Lastly, for the requirement of the facts and scent of the oil palm is water requirement. The oil palm tree need the lush of water to produce the development of canopy, flowering, fruiting, yield, and roots. So for root, the depth and the distribution of roots affect the amount and availability of water in the soil. It was important for water uptake in dry water. Roots have been traced to depth of 5 m where there were no physical restriction or high water tables. Root distribution is influenced by irrigation. Next is the optimum leaf area index for yield varies with location in range 4 until 6.5. There is one inflorescence in each leaf axil. The flowers are borne on spread male and female inflorescence. Sex differentiation occurs about 25 months before harvest. The proportion of female inflorescence for the sex ratio is an important determinant of yield and is sensitive to water stress. Maleness is favored by stress condition. Fruiting is a continuous process, like the timing of water stress relative to stage of development is important for predicting its impact on yield. Next, we go to the next slide, which is management. Okay, for the first management, as we can see, land selection management. It will a beginning or a palm plantation is a good begin with the selection of appropriate land or soil to determine the potential of land that can be developed to obtain the proper management of oil palm fruit productivity and quality goodwill. Type of soil on land that is planted affect the production of fresh fruit bunch and growing oil palm trees. So most of the good land used for oil palm plantation is dominant by soil type and have a high nutrient to low pH. So palm trees can grow, develop and produce as expected when the available soil water eventually over time in sufficient quantities. Um, for the next is fertilizer management. Fertilizer management, good fertilizer management is the key obtain high productivity and efficiency in oil palm plantation. Specifically, assimilate nutrients are allocated first to vegetative growth, like the leaf area index increases. Fertilization are managed every 1 day per week and sprinkled on discard fronts. It is also sprinkled around oil palm stem. Um, the fertilization has many types such as NPK, urea, and 5P2O5, K2O, and MGO. The farmers were always using the NPK and urea fertilizer for tree growth and fresh fruit bunch FFB. Fertilization, however, is associated with deleterious environmental effects such as greenhouse gas emissions, nutrient leaching losses. Third is weed management. For the weed management, weed can be divided to 6 types such as grasses, broadleaf, and ferns. So we go to the biocontrol method using species living organisms such as insect, fungi, bacteria, and integration with animal livestock. The use of animals such as cattle has been successfully conducted in an integrated manner in the area right palm. However, proper knowledge and technique needed to ensure productivity palm is not affected. For the control chemical, weed control method used widely and has been adopted equally available by the plantation sector or gardeners small. This method involves the use of material chemical known as herbicide sprayed with a sprayer certain. This method is effective for weed control over a relatively long period of time. For the weed control in mature palm areas, at the level of mature oil palm areas, areas exposed to sunlight has decreased and this condition causes change in weed resistance which the shade will start to grow. If weeds are not controlled, this weed will grow, reproduce and compete with oil palm as well as disturbing smooth daily activities on the farm. However, the weeds are very important to oil palm too. Next, cleaning around the base of the tree and harvest aside. So the area of the click is 4 m in the meter at around each tree base and harvest early 1.8 m what should be clean and free from weed growth to increase farm productivity. Weed control around tree roots and harvesting lanes to need to be done once every 3 or 4 months on a regular basis. Recommended herbicide for control weeds around the base of the trees and the harvest area. So at the picture below, we can see for the example of waste to fertilizer, waste to give a pesticide to the uh, to clean the weed at the premature and immature tree of a palm. Next, we go to the part of oil palm which is utilization of oil palm. So part of oil palm is oil palm biomass. As we can see as a picture, that is a oil palm biomass. Oil palm biomass can be reused as a useful bioproduct such as biofuel, biogas, biofertilizers, biocomposite and briquette, as well as convert to fuel like coal to generate electricity. As we can see at the round at the in the schedule, we can see the round blacks that is we call briquettes. So palm fruit cooking oil is produced from fresh fruit bunch and palm or seed from oil palm produced from as compost material or biocomposite and construction material. The process of decomposition of palm fronds naturally takes a long time, about 3 until 4 months. For trunk are produced as a construction material process to be used as a source of wood such as boards, walls and ceiling. So we can see the picture above, that is a picture for the part of our pond that we use, we can utilization. Next, we go to the oil palm tree. We go to the pictures. So the pictures is the oil palm tree have a produce for the fresh fruit bunch and go to the palm oil mill. So it can produce product like palm kernel shell, empty fruit bunch, palm kernel cake, mycelium fiber, and palm oil meal effluents. So next, this is a reference for my information taken from, this is 6, 5 and 5, and I have a 16 in front. That's all to that's all from me. Thank you.